My name is Nathan Van Zaney, and welcome to Catching Steam. As you know, for something to be classified as matter, it needs to take up space and have mass. Now, it's pretty easy to figure out for liquids and solids that they have mass and take up space, but gases like, the air in this balloon, that's a little tougher. If you've ever tried to weigh air in a balloon, you've probably found it doesn't really work very well, especially if you do the method where you weigh a balloon and then you deflate it, and then you weigh it again on the same scale, you'll find it doesn't really change unless you have an extremely precise scale, which most classrooms don't. Because right now there's, air on this scale, there's air underneath the scale. And if you were to put this balloon on it, it's just gonna move the air that was already right here, and it just puts on about the same amount of air. So for you to actually be able to weigh air, you have to be able to have a lot of it crammed in a space that can sit on this scale. Now, the problem with this balloon is the volume keeps increasing as you increase mass. And if you know anything about density, you know that if you're increasing volume as you're increasing mass, the density really isn't changing. And that's what we really need to do when we're weighing air. We have to increase the density of that air to put on this scale. We need a container that can keep all that air and pressurize it without the volume increasing. And that's what I have here for you. This is what I made, and I'm gonna kind of show you how I use it. It is a 2-liter bottle. You can probably use about any bottle. I recommend one that is gonna have carbonated soda because those are made to withstand a little bit more pressure than, let's say, a water bottle. And then on the bottom here, I put a tire valve stem on it. And if you're curious on how to make this, I'll give you a couple tips at the end of the video. But ultimately, this bottle has a confined volume. It's not going to grow hardly at all, but this can hold quite a bit of pressure. So I have a cap on here, and you can use anything to inflate the air in this. I'm going to use my air compressor, and then I'm going to weigh this without any air, weigh it again with air, and we're going to see if there's a mass increase. Here's this bottle here. If I weigh it, it's at 56 grams. And that is without any extra air. I mean, there's still air in here, from the atmosphere, but 56 grams without any extra air added. But now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of air. That's at about 40 psi. Without any extra air, we were at 56 grams. And now we are at 60. So that is 4 grams of air, but that's enough to see that air does have mass. It's just you have to be able to have a container that doesn't increase in volume when you increase the amount of air. Now, you may have a scale that's even more precise than mine, but even with just a kitchen scale, you can see that this has 4 extra grams of air added into it when you pressurize it. Now, if you want to make one of these, all you really need is a tire valve stem. Now these you can buy at essentially any hardware store, any place that has tires. They should sell these. Do not get the ones that have that are threaded on the other side. This, I don't know if you can tell, but it has kind of that little taper there, and the bottle should fit right in that little groove right there. Now, I'm also going to recommend you just get a step bit unless you want to buy it. This is honestly cheaper, this cheaper brand, than getting the right size bit. But you ultimately just need to drill a hole that is the same size as right before right here. And then you can either do this in the lid or in the bottom of the bottle. I like to do it in the bottom of the bottle because there are other activities I do with this. So if you want to just drill a hole in the lid and then insert this through the lid, and then you just have to put the lid on whatever bottle you want, that works just fine too. Now a tip, if you want to put it on the bottom, keep this little cap on here, put a little string on it, and then tighten it back on, and put a little weight on the bottom of that string, like a washer or a little nut or something, and then drop that through here, and it'll be easier to pull it through and get this part at least started through the bottom of the bottle, so you don't have to sit there and try and jostle it around to try and get it to go in the bottom. But after that, you have a pressurized bottle, and you can just release the air. And there's, like I said, there's a couple other cool activities I like to do with this. But aside from that, hopefully that helps you measure the mass of air. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much.